Good morning, good afternoon. Hello, everybody. My name is Jason Weiss, and I am the host of this wonderful show called Ask Jason Weiss. I am a consultant, I am an attorney, I am a coach, and I am a dad, and I am a husband, and I am a son, and I am all of these wonderful things, and I'm so happy to be there. However, what I am not is your attorney for today. So nothing I say is legal advice. Nothing today is a legal opinion. Should you need legal advice, financial advice, or any type of advice, go hire an attorney, get that attorney-client privilege. So don't rely on anything I say today, except that you need to go out and get my book, Shit They Never Taught You in Law School. It's on Amazon. You could go get it. I'm an Amazon bestseller, so I'm really pumped and excited, but not as pumped, as excited as I am today, where I have my wonderful guest here, who I met through a close friend of mine, where he said to me, Jason, you got to meet Steve. And here I am. So I connected with Steve, who is the CEO of Phi Longevity. And I pronounced that completely wrong. It's Phi Longevity, your path
Correct.
to timeless wellness. And this is Steve, who is the co-founder and CEO. And when Steve and I sat and we talked and he told me about what he does, I was like, oh man, I got to have you on the show 100%. Because what he does is, it's great for professionals, listeners, attorneys, and everybody. So Steve, without further ado, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you developed Phi, and you say it as Phi, P-H-I.
Phi Longevity.
Thank you. My brain is not keeping up with my mouth today. I just finished recording yesterday the audio version of my book. So I read for about 6 hours, almost 6 hours from my book. So I'm like all over the place. My eyes are blurry. My contact lens hurts. So it's great that we're having you on here because you help people like me. So without further ado, I'm going to shut up. Steve, take it away, my man.
Yeah. Thanks, Jason. Yeah. Great opportunity to spend time with yourself and be introduced to your listeners. My name is Steve Pinedo. I'm a California native. I went to UCLA, went straight from there into the Navy flight program. I flew Navy helicopters for a while. Then I got bored and I went to business school and I worked in technology.
Wait.
Amazon Web Services, Oracle.
Time out. You got bored flying helicopters? That's like the coolest thing. How could you get bored? That sounds like so much fun.
Yeah, I had this like drive that I wanted to do something different. So I
you
started.
didn't get bored. You wanted to do something different. You wanted to explore your horizons. You wanted to take the chopper up and look from way down and see what else is out there. All right. So you're no longer a chopper pilot, there.
Yeah.
And you go to your business school. I interrupted. You blew me away because I had a dream the other day that literally I was watching San Andreas and the Rock is flying the helicopter. I'm like, how cool would that be to get your helicopter's pilot license? And here you are. So I'm going to talk to you about that later, but I'm going to shut up. Business school after being a helicopter pilot.
Yeah. Then went into technology, BEA systems, Oracle, most recently Amazon Web Services. And then I went into the startup world and I was co-founder and CEO of a software startup. And then my wife introduced me to proactive healthcare. And I thought, wow, this is really tremendous. This is super important for people to live their best possible lives. And then it dawned on me that this is really, really difficult to consume and hard to self assemble. And I thought, well, wait a minute. I've done this before. I've helped people take core intellectual property and sell it to different markets and conglomerate these things that are delivery centric and make them client centric. So I said, we can solve this. So we built a program in combination with medical doctors and naturopathic doctors and operators to make proactive health way easier to consume.
So for people that are like, oh yeah, sure, I know what proactive health is. Well, I think I do. I'll ask the question, what is proactive health? I mean, I can guess, and I know a little bit because of our conversation, but For
Hmm.
those people that are asking and will ask, what is proactive health?
Yeah. So let me start by saying what it's not.
Okay.
And what it's not is it's not our current medical system, which is really it's not healthcare, it's more like sick care. It's a system that's designed to identify a malady, a disease, an injury, and then fix that. Address the symptoms. If it's a broken arm, fix it. If it's an infection, rid your body of it, and then you're on your way. Proactive healthcare takes an individual and says, how do we make you better? Like, how do we make and optimize how your body functions so that you can either do what you want to do now if you're being precluded from doing that, or you can continue to operate as you're operating now without fear of illness or debilitation or disability, so that you're actually out ahead, you're managing your healthcare, you're not letting it manage you.
So I go for a physical or a checkup, once a year. Isn't that good enough? Isn't that proactive health? Like I go, it's not like I'm going to the doctor and saying, "Hey, my throat hurts" or "I have a headache." I'm going in just I'm going in every, August like I'm supposed to.
Yeah, no, it's not enough. It's not enough because when you think about the core ingredients of being healthy and being well, we've identified with our physicians five core concepts, which are the base elements of our program: diet, strength and cardiovascular fitness, or how you eat, how you move, mind and sleep, how you think, how you challenge your mind, how you sleep and rejuvenate at night, regenerative self healing, so how you help your body fix itself. And then there's this really amazing frontier that is developing extremely rapidly of innovative proactive therapies. And these are things that some of them are pharmaceuticals, some of them are new novel treatments, but they're designed to really, they're anti-aging, but they're also pro-performant things,
Hmm.
things that can increase neuroplasticity, things that can increase your ability to fight infection, things that can, make it easier to build and maintain muscle mass. And these are all proactive treatments. There are literally hundreds of them that are emerging to help people thrive.
It's funny. My son is getting ready to take the SAT this
Hmm.
weekend, and my cousin is a coach for ACT, and he teaches the science part. And there's no science part on the SAT. That's why my son's taking it. But anyway, so my cousin said to my son, "Take a cold shower before
Hmm.
the test." And my son's like, "I shower at night. I don't shower first." He's like, "I'm telling you." Studies have shown that people go up anywhere from 6 to 10 points on the SAT just from taking that cold shower. So
Yeah.
my son's going to wake up 10 minutes early and take a cold shower. And it's funny because when I studied for the bar, one of the things that I was told is that in between the exams and in between the days, because the bar is, it was one day, it was set, then lunch, then you finish. And then it was a second day, you set your lunch, you finish. They said during your lunch period, don't, it wasn't like, cell phones and all that, but, don't go ahead, don't have a drink and don't have a big meal and do all this, eat a banana and eat some cereal and keep your mind working. And I thought to
Hmm.
myself, like, what does that mean? So I brought not crossword puzzles, but like word jumbles
Hmm.
and word searches with me. I took the newspapers, I kept them for a week, and I brought them with me. And I went out during lunch, found a spot in the shade, ate my banana, ate my turkey sandwich, sitting there circling words, and it works. So it
Yeah.
sounds so I took my proactive approach by not letting my brain just go, and I kept it
Hmm.
going and I kind of tricked it. So I guess, like what do you, I don't want you giving away, the house, and don't give away your secret and anything like that. But
Yeah.
what are some simple things that, like how we could,
Yeah.
improve our own
So
performance.
So I think that's a great question. And let me answer it. And what you're referring to is really called hormetic stress. But let me take a step back and sort of address this question in context, because I think it goes to the heart of how we are living lifestyles that make us unhealthy rather than making us healthy. Let me first start off by explaining hormetic stress, and then I'll talk about sort of how the way we live our lives right now is way different from how humans have for the vast majority of our existence on this planet. So the concept is called hormesis. And hormesis basically says that minor stresses and inconveniences to the body make it more resilient. And if you think about this in the context of how we live our modern world, what do? We live in air conditioned and heated indoor facilities. We're not exposed to fluctuations of heat or cold. Um, we don't move that often, so we're not exposed to stresses and strains. Exercising is mild hormetic stress. Taking a cold shower is a mild hormetic stress. And what happens is our sort of operating range of how we can operate as humans becomes very narrow because we never get warm, we never get cold, we never get tired, we never get sore, we never exert our muscles, we never exert our mind to the point where it has to adapt and be resilient. We're naturally resilient creatures. So we're living this life that is insulated from these minor stresses, and instead of us thinking it makes us stronger, it actually makes us weaker. So this whole idea of stressing, and there are a bunch of biohackers who follow these. There are literally hundreds of different techniques. We practice hormesis knowledge, or knowingly and unknowingly. You hear about the blue zones and how people live longer, more fulfilling lives when they live in these pockets of areas. Well, people expose themselves to hormetic stresses. Their homes are not heated and air conditioned. They have manual labor where they work in gardens, or they tend flower beds or vegetable gardens or animals, etc. So they're moving. They're constantly giving their body tiny stresses. And when we don't do that, when we live this really artificial, climate controlled, non-movement lifestyle, we don't do ourselves any favor. Like in back of me, I've got a kettlebell and a barbell. And so, if I'm in the middle of a couple of podcasts or I'm working, every hour I'll get up and I'll move and I'll stretch. And there's this great concept called NEAT, non-exercise athletic thermogenesis. And it's basically a fancy way of saying you're not just sitting on your butt all day, but you're up and you're moving your body. And that's one of the things that our bodies need.
And it's funny, I have this little like portable bicycle thing that was my dad's, that
Hmm.
after he had heart surgery, they gave it to him so he could start getting his legs back in shape. And I got it sitting right here, and all through the course of the day, I just put my feet on it and I start pedaling away.
Yeah.
It gives me, even if it's 5 minutes worth, I do it. And one of the things I talk about in my book is, and I think it's on the same path, is that you don't learn from successes, you learn from failures. And what does that mean? It means that if you're whatever you're doing, if you're successful and you don't have to change it up, then you're going to keep doing it. But if you fail, or you have to find a new way to get it done, that's going to get your brain going and thinking, and that seems to be in line. I know
Yeah.
before we started the show, you and I were talking about TVs and movies and all that, and we're going to get back to that towards the end. But one of the things that I wanted to mention is that there's a movie out. It's called The Intern. It's an older movie. I think it's I want to say maybe Anne Hathaway, if that's who it is. I'm not sure if it's not, but Robert De Niro and a couple of other people are in it. And one of the lines that one of the actresses says in it, and now her name is escaping me, is that sitting is the new smoking, is what
Yeah.
she said.
Hmm.
So I know what I think that means, but interpret that. Sitting is the new smoking, and put it out that the movie came out. It's probably 10 years old, let's say 12 years old. So put us back to
Yeah.
like 2010,
Yeah.
2011, somewhere around there. So
Yeah.
sitting is the
You know,
new smoking.
Yeah, we learned through a lot of study and just common sense that smoking is one of the most significant contributors to reduced life expectancy and reduced healthy life expectancy. But there are a lot of other ingredients to a healthy life that we're now learning a lot more about. I mean, diet is extraordinarily important. When we put and little stresses are important. So when we eat food, when we eat variety of foods that provide the nutrients that we need, we give our body the fuel to adequately function. And frankly, a lot of the food that we eat right now is not nourishing. It doesn't contain any of the essential amino acids and nutrients that and phytochemicals that allow our body to grow and thrive and repair. The other concept is be resilient. And when we sit and we're in climate control and we're not exercising our bodies, we lose the ability to be resilient. I remember when I was in the Navy, one of the things that they taught us, if we're ever captured or there's ever any, point at which you're being interrogated, et cetera, you can't be the tree, you've got to be the reed. And so you've got to be resilient. When the wind comes, you bend, you don't break. And so our bodies have to develop emotional resilience, mental resilience, physical resilience, so that we constantly making it a little uncomfortable through many of these hormetic techniques or a good exercise regime or good food, where we constantly are changing things up so that we're moving and we're exposing our body to these different environments, experiences, and it just makes us more resilient. And that's a great philosophy to be resilient, but metabolically to be resilient is an essential survival skill. And this one that we've learned and developed over hundreds of thousands of years of the evolution of our species, and it's one that we've lost touch of in our modern world.
And what you're saying, I mean, it makes perfect sense. Like I live down here in South Florida. From what is it, May or June? No, not even. Yeah, May, June through Thanksgiving. We're in hurricane season, and I used to
Hmm.
own a big piece of property with big trees and all of that. And every other year, what would I do? I would get my trees trimmed so that the trees could sway with the wind. So if the wind were to
Yep.
come, it's not going to break. It's just going to bend. And that's what you're saying
Hmm.
we need to do. We need to follow the lead of nature and allow
Yes.
nature to run its course. And there are so many luxuries in life that we have now because of, modernization and things moving along. But we forget about why those things are there. Those things are there to make our lives easier. But if we're not going to have a fulfilling or pain-free or enjoyable life, then what's the point of making it longer, right? Like I'd rather
Yeah.
live a shorter life and enjoy every second of it than live a
Yeah.
longer life and suffer for the last 20 years. And I
Yeah.
think that's what you seem to be hitting. It's look,
Yep.
live life to the fullest, live life the best. Let us help you live longer, healthier, and enjoy what you're doing. And
Exactly.
come with us, learn from us, journey with us to get on that path, as opposed to, oh snap, I've got to do something because it's not working.
Yeah.
I like what you're presenting. You're presenting is get ahead of the curve. Don't
Get ahead of the
react,
curve. Let me
proact.
share a couple of yeah, let me share a couple of, I think, frightening numbers for you. First is, think about lifespans, and human lifespans over the past decade in the US have been relatively stable. But what has decreased is the concept of health span. So think of health span as the period in life when you're living, you're able to move, you're able to think, you're fully functioning, you can play golf if you want, you can ski if you want, you can make love if you want, you can live your life as it was meant to be lived. And then there's that lifespan, that how long you're going to live. There's a gap there. And that gap has steadily gotten worse to the point where the gap between a healthy life and a life is 12.7 years in the United States. Think about that. 12.7 years where you can expect to be alive, but be in some incapacitated state. It could be just frustrating because you really can't walk anymore, or you can't go upstairs, or you can't lift a child. And that's not fun. Or it can be really bad where you have advanced Alzheimer's or dementia and you can't recognize your children anymore. So this is a tragedy. This is an absolute human tragedy, not just for the person involved, but for their loved ones and their family who has to witness this decline. I can tell you personally, it is horrible to watch. It's horrible to see, and unfortunately, that's going to be in store for the vast majority of us. The second thing is the incidence of obesity, the incidence of diabetes and metabolic syndrome have dramatically increased in the United States over the past 30 years. So the curve is not improving, and everything that we're doing in our modern life is lining us up for this period of debilitation. So this we have to get ahead of this, not only as individuals but also as a society, because we are getting to the point where we're going to age, and we're going to create this incredible financial and emotional burden on all the people that we care about, because we haven't proactively taken care of ourselves. And it's just an absolute tragedy. We have um, we have the three leading causes of death in the United States are cardiovascular disease, cancer, and the third one is probably medical errors. So we live with all of these chronic diseases which cause this incapacitated state, but these chronic diseases are largely avoidable. And the number one way to avoid these chronic diseases, like cardiovascular disease, like diabetes, is through proactive health and proactive measures to actively address and get over these. So, you think about proactive health as being something really good for people, but it's also really good for our society. And it's really good, if you're listening and you're thinking about doing this, it's really a great gift to give your loved ones, because they get a fully capacitated you operating for a longer period, where where you are able to be the person that they know and love, and you're able to continue to deliver your gift to the world that you were meant to give.
And that's what it is, right? It's living the long, wonderful life, not just living the long life.
Yeah.
And look, I went through it with my father. My father had a heart attack when he was 70, passed away at 73. And he was 71 and heart attack at 73. That was when he passed. So, and I watched the decline, after
Hmm.
the heart attack. Certain things were there, and all of that. And could he have prevented it? Don't know. Hindsight's 2020 at all points in time. But
Hmm.
you know, the life he was living was great. Um,
Hmm.
and that's what he wanted. But I see. So what are some, so people want to find out more about your path and about your what you offer and how you got there. What's the best
Hmm.
way for them to do it, and how can they do research on their own, so they can come to you, Steve, and say, all right, I'm ready for this life. What does it entail? How do I do it? What do I go about? Is it virtual? Is it on? All right, I got everything you say, right? All right, I want to be proactive. Sign me up, Steve.
Yeah.
What do I do?
Yeah. So, I would say first go to our website, philongevity.com,
So
and where we
for
talk
the
about our
people that are
programs.
listening, it's PHILONGEVITY.com. There it is on the
That's correct.
screen. But again, it's
That's correct.
philongevity.com. Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you. But some
Yeah.
people
No.
aren't
So go.
watching, they're just listening.
Of course. So go to the website and look and learn. But I would say before you contact us, I would ask everybody to think about their unique gift to the world, what they have, and how long they want to continue to be able to deliver it, and how their life would be different if something in the health sphere got in the way and they couldn't do that anymore. And think about that, because a lot of our jobs right now in technology, in engineering, in law, these are cerebral jobs. There's no mandatory retirement age where and even with airline pilots, hopefully that's going to go away and people will be able to be airline pilots for longer. But there's no reason why you can't practice into your 60s, 70s, 80s. We have Supreme Court justices and federal justice judges that are performing beautifully. They're at their top of their game. They're in their 80s, and there's no reason for them not to practice. So if you want to do that, what do you do? And you can do that however you want to do it. But how what would it mean if you couldn't do that? If that was taken away, that option was taken away, how would you feel if you weren't able to get ahead of your health and you had that option taken away from you, not given up by you? So very important. Then think about sort of how, how you want to live, and then look at our site. We've thought about this very purposefully. We built this program over the past year in combination with our medical doctors, our strength and conditioning coaches, our naturopathic doctors. And we specifically constructed this to be something where we specifically look at a series of biomarkers. We interview you and understand where you want to go, where you are, and then we build a plan together. Like we get together, all of our care team gets together, they look at all of your information, and we custom construct a proactive wellness plan for you that encompasses all these core elements, that looks at all of the advanced therapies and understands who you are, where you're going, and we help sift through and put together a program that's encompassing all these various elements that could potentially be included in it, but it's customized and curated for you and designed for you. So then we introduce and we talk to you at a beautiful 3-day summit where we do it up here in the Rocky Mountains, where we get together, we review your tests with you, we do some initial therapies, we teach you, we introduce you to your physicians and your coaches and your cohort. We do some initial measurements, and then everybody leaves and they have a schedule planned out for the next 90 days on how they're going to build the framework, the health and wellness framework that they're going to then use the rest of their lives to ensure that health never stands in the way of doing what they want to accomplish. And they're able to continue to deliver their gift to the world.
So I know this because we chatted, but I'm going to ask this question anyway. So this is not a, hey, come in and we'll get you up to shape in, 90 days and then you go about your life. This is, you need to be committed and ready for a lifestyle adjustment. I'm not going to say change,
Yes.
but an adjustment, right? So for example, me, let's just say, I'm in a little bit of pain in my back today because I didn't go to the chiropractor yesterday. That's truthful. You might be able to say, hey, based on your biomarkers, you should be in a different chair, or you should wear a different thing, or you should take a certain vitamin, or you should do this. It's not because you're a white male, 48 years old, you need a lumbar support chair. No, it's going to be Jason.
This is totally comprehensive, and it looks at it from a holistic perspective along the framework that I talked about earlier. And it identifies biomarkers that align, that are numbers that we can measure that align to where you want to go. We call them the Phi Longevity, the Phi Longevity 15, where we look at these 15 core biomarkers and look at where you're going and how those biomarkers change. And these are a lot of non-standard biomarkers that your standard physician in your checkup will not necessarily check for. But we've done the research and we've found that these align to the health outcomes that we're trying to help for you. The other thing I think is really important to understand is, despite what we're seeing with semaglutide and GLP-1 inhibitors, there's no magic pill. There's no, you cannot be a passive passenger on your health journey. You have to control what you put on the end of your fork and in your mouth. You have to control and manage how you exercise. You have to help manage how you sleep, how you think, how you bring your presence into the world. These are all essential things that only you can manage. So we can help coach and mentor you through this process, but you've got to have the desire to change. And we know we've had some clients that talk to us and they love the program and they've said, Steve, I'm just not motivated enough. I just can't do it. So I just haven't reached that point, which is fine. That's an individual choice, but understand that that's going to have consequences. But for those who do, I think our program is really uniquely designed for those who do have the motivation. They're just overwhelmed with all of the conflicting information and all of the alternatives. And they want a guide, an MD guide, to curate some of this content and help them figure out where they can get the biggest bang for the buck and what's going to work for them, not necessarily everybody else.
Right. And that's all good. I mean, look, I know when I changed my eating times, I'm doing like intermittent fasting. I lost 10 pounds, right? So that's great. I got another 10 pounds that I want to lose. Well, I know what to do. I have an elliptical machine and I live in South Florida and I can go walking, but I'm not. Why is that? because I'm not ready to. In my head, it's like, yeah, I want to lose 10 more pounds, but I'm not doing anything. I'm sticking to what I found the easier part, which is only eat from 11 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. I got that down, right? But now I
Yeah.
need to get that into my head. And I'm not saying that's the end all be all, just, intermittent fasting, but it worked for me. I'm not eating dinner at 9 o'clock at night and going to bed at 10.
Yeah.
It's good. So
Yeah.
other than checking out the website, what else, if someone's listening to this show and they go, that's really neat, but kind of want to learn more. I want to find out more. I want to know, what's this cost? What kind of health insurance, if any? Am I going to have to change, my entire lifestyle? So, they can always reach out to you, but if they want to do some investigation on their own, what do you have any recommended readings, doctors to follow,
Yeah.
reports, anything like that?
We have them reach out to me. We have a recommended reading list that we provide to our clients. There are a number of excellent authors in this space, both biohackers as well as functional medicine MD authors. My partner and I have done all the reading we can recommend. In fact, I've got a tiered list of recommendations that I provide all of my buddies that ask around. Okay, read this first. If you can stomach that and you're good with that, then you read this next one, and I've got 3 or 4 books lined up for them. So have them reach out to me. I'd be happy to share with them my reading list and all, as well as the biohackers that I follow. But it's really important that your point about the elliptical is, our philosophy and what we've seen is that maintaining your health is really complicated, and it's really hard because many of the foods that we're presented to eat, particularly in restaurants, etc., they just don't serve us well. And we're bombarded with advertising and messages about eating, about exercising that aren't really, they're not true. And they make it really difficult to make good choices. The second thing is I want to emphasize is, unless and until you do some of the basic testing, you may really struggle with weight loss because you may be inhibited by something that you haven't discovered. It could be something metabolically. It could be something with your thyroid. It could be something with the food you're eating, or it could be allergy sensitivities or toxin exposures. There are many different things that, unless you do the testing and are able to review that with one of our medical doctors in a holistic fashion, you may not be able to get to the underlying cause, which is making it difficult for you to lose weight. So this garbage of, well, calories in equal calories out, and it's simple math, that's just nonsense. All of our bodies are unique. All of us have been exposed to a lot of chemicals over the past 30, 40 years. We're exposed to food that's much less nutritionally dense than it was a generation ago. So we're exposed to all of these marketing messages for fast foods and convenience foods that offer very little nutritional value and are loaded with sugars. And so it's very difficult for us to really effectively take care of ourselves when we're bombarded with much of this advertising information that is not consistent with how we live healthy lifestyles.
Right. And that's what it is. Like, you might be someone who's primed to, let's just say, have a bowl of fruit for breakfast when you first wake up, because that's what your metabolism says, and that's what your biomarkers say and all that. Where me, I might be better off, having a piece of steak at noon. I don't know. You don't know.
Yes.
None of us know that.
Yes.
So, I mean, it all boils down to, like you said, why go ahead and why make changes to do what you think will work when you don't know? And think about it this way, ladies and gentlemen watching the show. If you want to go ahead and become an influencer on Instagram, who do you follow? What do you do? What methods? You take a course, you consult with people. Why not do that with your health? Why don't just sign up for, health plan A or health plan B and just follow the diet and go to the gym and work out. You go to the gym, you ask the trainer what you should do because you want to lose weight, you want strength, you want this. You should do the same with a
Yeah.
nutritionist. And it seems like, Steve, you've come up with, you and your team, a one-stop shop. Well, you'll come up with a new lifestyle plan. And
Yes.
that's what it seems. And it sounds like you're part of this journey the entire time. And you're not just going to say, here's your plan, go to it. It's here's your plan, check in 15 days, 30 days, 90 days, 120 days. How you doing? What's going on? There's checkups, there's
Yeah.
follow-ups. And you stay on top of this.
Yeah.
I,
We have a comprehensive 90-day plan that involves, it's all planned out beforehand, where there are coaching calls, there are one-on-one interactions with your physician, and then after the 3 months, there are a series of tiers where clients can continue an involvement that's more maintenance. So the first 90 days is really kind of a reboot, and then there's maintenance, but you've learned all this information on how to make effective choices yourself. And so you're now incredibly enabled from a knowledge perspective, as well as a metrics perspective of your body. One interesting thing is when people try to do this on their own, or they do this in fits and starts, they go on a diet. Here's the here's the real challenge with losing weight and going on diets. You may lose some weight, but you're going to lose probably more muscle mass than you do fat. And so you're going to lose, and when muscle weighs more than fat. So you're metabolically, you're going to lose more, you're going to lose some muscle, you're going to lose a little bit of fat, you're going to lose muscle. And then inevitably you're on the yo-yo, and what you gain back is largely fat. So where are you now metabolically? So you're at the same weight, but your body composition is totally different because you've calorie constricted, or you tried to restrict and lose weight, and you've lost the fat and the muscle, but now you've lost the muscle. So now your ability to be metabolically flexible and burn fat more easily is now constricted because you've lost muscle mass. So one of the critical things we do is teach people how to measure, first of all. Most people have no idea how much muscle mass they have and how it's changing over time, and then how you can affect plans, diets, exercises to build and maintain that muscle mass. Humans, every decade after the age of 30, we lose between 3 and 8% of our muscle mass, and that loss accelerates after the age of 60. And it's a condition known as sarcopenia. It is extraordinarily damaging and dangerous because it makes us metabolically unflexible, so it's harder to burn fat. It makes it harder for us to maintain posture, be strong. It makes us harder for us to avoid falls, etc. It's very highly correlated with premature aging. So this is one of these things that we will help you understand how to measure and monitor, so that you're able to avoid the negative consequences that come from losing muscle mass.
Huh. Interesting. So, just don't think that hopping on a diet or cutting out fat or doing all this, you'll lose the weight, but you might be hurting yourself. And you should reach
Yes.
out to Stephen and philongevity.com and check it out. You can always get him, Stephen with a PH, STEPHEN at philongevity.com. Or, like I said, the website, Phi Longevity, PHILONGEVITY.com. And people that listen to the show know that when I start doing that plug, that means we're getting towards the end. And you and I started a conversation before where I was telling you what I had on in the background about I always ask the hardest question that I can ask at the end of the show. So Steve, what is on your queue for what you want to watch on Netflix, or what you plan on watching in Netflix, or what are you currently watching on Netflix?
So my wife and I started watching it. We got really into it, and then we just got overwhelmed with everything that was happening with the business. So we haven't been watching it, but I'm anxious. I'm excited to get back into watching Suits. So I've come from a family of attorneys. My brother's an attorney. My dad's an attorney. My sister-in-law is an attorney. My brother-in-law is an attorney. They're all over the place.
So that makes you the smartest one in the family for not being an attorney. And I will not spoil anything for any listeners with Suits, but I watched the first 8 seasons, watched them all. I can't find season 9 yet anywhere where you don't have to pay for it. And I'm not ready to pay for it because I already pay enough. through Paramount and this one and that one and Netflix. So I'm just letting you know, you can only watch the first 8 seasons on Netflix, and there is a 9th. So either be prepared to look for it or be prepared to pay for it.
Okay.
You know, but that's one of the good things. And that, ladies and gentlemen, lets you know that, you know, where Steven's at. Entrepreneur, mindset of getting the work done. I love the passion that all the actors and actresses show in Suits. It's amazing how they're all excited and they love being there and all of that. It's all made up. It's not like that in the law firm setting. You don't see it. You don't do whatever. You want to learn more about what the law is like, read my book, Shit That Never Taught You in Law School, because that's what it's like. I'm already 11,000 words into volume 2. It'll be called More Shit They Never Taught You in Law School. And it'll be something along the lines where it's not just for lawyers, because my book is not. But what Steve is doing with Phi Longevity is for everyone. Lawyers, talk about it. Go see him. Keep your mind sharp. If you love what you do, he's going to help you do it longer. Maybe he'll help you figure out, oh my God, I want to do something else. Maybe it's just a touch point. But I do recommend, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages and everybody on this planet, research it, figure it out. Go to his website, email him, check it out. You will not be upset. You will learn a ton, and hopefully you will be on a way to a healthier, happier, and a long, livable, wonderful life. So, Steve, I thank you so much. Go make some time for you and your wife. Get back to Suits. Bang out an episode or 2 a night or a week. Enjoy. Stay healthy. Go do your lifting of your barbells and your other bell behind you.
Kettlebell. Yeah.
Thank you. And I look forward to working with you and speaking with you again. To all of our listeners, find them, PhiLongevity.com. Reach out to them. Check it out. Steven, thank you so much for being here. And I look forward and wish you nothing but success.
Thank you. Pleasure, Jason.